For more analysis, I am joined by Rob Jesmer from Arlington, Virginia. He's a managing partner at Plus Communications, and prior to that, he was executive director of the National Republican Senatorial Committee. Rob, let's start with the most general question, which is, what is the general takeaway, either yours or your fellow Republicans that you've been talking with, about what happened on Election Day?
Hey, good evening, John. I think it's a little too early to tell. It'll be several weeks, I think, before we have the information we need to really zero in exactly what happened. But directionally, I think a couple of things. One is, normally in an off-year election, you see undecideds go against the incumbent party. It seems relatively clear that that didn't happen at the rate that normally does. And the second thing is, there was a disconnect between there used to be a correlation between the president's incumbent president's approval rating and sort of voting patterns. And again, that is something that didn't happen again today. That is to say that the president is still relatively unpopular. There's a lot of discussion about President Trump, but President Biden's numbers are basically the same as President Trump's. And I think normally in that kind of environment, not to mention the economic environment, we'd have a greater tailwind. That being said, I still think we picked up, I still relatively confident we'll hold on to the House, pick up the House, and I think the Senate's still in reach.
One of the things our data folks say is that, that traditional environment you talked about would hurt the in-party. Historically, that's been the case going back 40 years. But the Democrats had some shields. One of them was their base was fired up after the Dobbs decision. But the other shield, and we saw this in Republicans who late in the game were running ads about how they wanted, when Senator Johnson is running an ad about how there's too much partisanship in Washington, or Mehmet Oz is talking about going to Washington and working with both sides, it seems to ratify what the data is showing, which is that Democrats were helped by the view that people see the Republican Party as too extreme. By people, really, I mean independents in these races. Is there any rethinking about that, about the party's overall image and how that may have provided Democrats with a shield in what should have been a much better night for Republicans?
I guess I look at it a little differently. I think we had some candidate issues in Pennsylvania. I mean, Dr. Oz, love him or don't love him, he hadn't lived in the state in decades, if ever. Herschel Walker's been a tough race in Georgia. It's still alive, but he lived in Texas. Obviously, has some personal issues he's dealing with. So if you go down the list, there's, I think, broadly some candidate issues. I don't know if I would say they're extremists. But look, I think our party is going through a sort of on the path of reckoning a little bit. And I think that process is going to continue through the nomination process, the presidential nomination process next year.
Very quickly on that question of the presidential nomination process, Ron DeSantis had a blockbuster night. How does the party work out those issues you just talked about when it's making its choice between DeSantis or former President Trump, who's already been essentially knocking DeSantis before DeSantis has even thrown his hat in the ring?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to at all impact Governor DeSantis' decision. My guess is he's going to wait a few months and get through the Florida legislature and then decide what he's going to do. Okay. I think the less historical lesson is he's at his peak. And if he wants to run for president, there's no better time than now. It's going to be a very tough process. It is for everyone. It'll certainly be a unique process with President Trump running. But I think my guess is he'll get in and a few others will get in, and it'll be a kind of a spirited nomination process.
All right, Rob Jesmer in Arlington, Virginia. Thanks a lot, Rob, for being with us.
Bye.